Public Secrets is a work that's goal is to showcase the true lives of many women incarcerated within the California state prison system. Whether drug users, killers, or bad parents, the project makes sure to take no stance other than one: the unjust treatment of women. If someone thinks of prison, movies like Shawshank Redemption or Let's Go to Prison spring to mind. For many whose lives have been spent behind closed doors, however, nothing could be farther from the truth. In actuality, the lives of these women are painful and fraught with danger. First-hand accounts from the women are filled with examples, with one saying guards would incite fights with roommates, or another who says that the guards had the right to strip search them whenever they felt like it, along with other harrowing tales. These are recounted with the goal of making these secrets. The flow of the piece is basic. From the main menu, users can access three different branches. Along the horizontal border, quotes will pop up, giving viewers a glimpse into the lives of the individual prisoners. If the user is interested, they can choose to go more in depth into that prisoner's story, or they could choose to back out. Once you enter, the course of the story is entirely up to you. The project is bookended with a basic animation, along with a narration by the interviewer. Her closing statement asks that users take a stand and reach out for help. The linear structure works to present users with a feeling of confinement. No matter which path you choose, you always end up in the same place: prison. The project, like the prison, keeps you trapped. Only, unlike the prisoners, you are allowed to exit through the gate. Much like the structure of the piece, the design is simple. The project features a black-white color palette, illustrating the dichotomy present throughout. The title, along with each branch, carries two contrasting elements or phrases, the more appealing element being white and the less appealing black. While the design is unchanged throughout, the project ending shows the dark overtaking the white as you leave the prisoners behind. To convey a sense of imprisonment, the piece uses its black and white palette to reinforce the idea of what we see and what the truth is to be completely different. Testimonies from the prisoners provide first-hand accounts of what life is like for them. These can either be read or heard directly from the source, giving everything a much more personal tone. Every time you click on a link, a brief but audible gavel is heard, as though you're being sentenced for your choice, once again reinforcing the idea of empathy and intimacy that the piece strives to portray. Navigation should be simple, but it's not. The site uses a mouse-based interface, which should work, but oftentimes it felt as though the mouse was dragging along behind me rather than alongside. Clicking on something would activate it, but the interface was not as responsive as it should have been. Simply by moving your mouse over a quote to get to another one would play all the quotes that you passed over. For the simplicity of the design, the execution was poor. It's possible they may have been trying to reach a greater point with everything, but to me it just seemed sluggish and lazy. Ultimately, I don't think it was justified. Unlike the other bits like the gavel or the black and white, none of this felt intended. The difficulty to use the site does nothing but annoy the user, when everything else strives to make them sympathetic. Ultimately, it creates this disconnect that should be avoided. Overall, I thought it was a very well done and engaging piece. There were parts of it that I felt didn't mesh well, such as the navigation, but everything else seemed to work in favor of it. The use of first-hand testimonies was incredibly well done and adds a sense of emotion that would otherwise be unavailable from just reading. Hearing it from the prisoners and hearing the heartbreak in their voices really just makes it all much more painful. My favorite aspect of the piece has to be the dichotomy present throughout. There's this black-white color palette that is really emphasized from the very beginning, and all the menus have the same idea. When you're choosing between the different things, there's a barrier in the middle of the screen. Half of it's white, half of it's black. And on the left-hand side, you see signs that say bare life and human life. And it contrasts what it's like to be on the outside and what it's like to be on the inside. And it really shows just how brutal this prison system is. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the piece. I definitely recommend checking it out if you're ever bored. So yeah, peace.